Good morning and welcome to Free Advice Friday, the hour every Friday where we get together and talk about the business of being an author. We talk about publishing, marketing, and everything in between. You're welcome to join us live by coming to newshelves.com/FAF for Free Advice Friday. We do also take an emailed question. Simply email info at newshelves.com. We take those in, we answer them live, and then you can catch the replay over on YouTube. We're simply New Shelves Books on YouTube, so you can find and follow us there. We are going to get started today with a bit of industry news, actually, because I got quite a few emails about this one. So, Findaway Voices and Spotify, who owns Findaway Voices, made an announcement this week that they will now be distributing audiobooks with digital voice narration, also known as AI narration. So I'm not very surprised. We knew this was coming, and Findaway Voices thus far has only partnered with they've only partnered with Apple Books for Apple Books narration through the Apple platform. And they had started that earlier this year, but that was the only AI narration that they allowed for distribution. And now they have changed that policy. It's not totally clear to me, to be honest, exactly what they're going to do, but essentially they're accepting digital voice narrated audiobooks or AI audiobooks from Google Play Books. So Google Play Books is a platform that you can use for AI narration. And they are now accepting those audiobooks for, and here's the thing that's kind of unclear to me, is it says for distribution to select retail partners. But when I was looking around, I couldn't get a like actual list or specifics on who those select retail partners are. So that is kind of where I think it's maybe not fully out there yet. Like, is this going to go to 5 of their platforms? Is this going to go everywhere? We're not really quite sure yet. I do believe it will end up going through Spotify, but again, that's just me guessing a little bit. So Google Play Books now accepted. They are saying that there will be in the metadata practices and in the like the sales page and the marketing copy, they're saying the first sentence will state, and I quote, "This audiobook is narrated by a digital voice." So they are going to clearly mark this for listeners. They're going to mark it for the people buying it. But it's coming. And we already talked about, I think last week we talked about how KDP was doing beta testing for digital voice narration, AI narration. So we're seeing this kind of come up more and more, where that AI audiobook that has been available for a little while, but it wasn't being distributed. A lot of the distributors were holding out and not doing that. Now we're seeing this be more widely accepted and more widely used. And I think it's very interesting that as far as AI goes in publishing, audiobook seems to be the one spot where many authors, especially in the self-publishing space, are open to using AI. So I think that's very interesting. I think that what we'll see as time goes by is that, yes, there will be AI narration. There will be people who don't mind, who will go for the lower price book for that AI narration and not mind it. And then there will be people who really like the quality of having a human narrator and that emotion and having different aspects of that. And they will still be paying for audiobooks on a higher price level. Now, how will this affect audiobook growth, the market? As the market not only grows, but as the market becomes more saturated, I think that's what'll be interesting to watch, is that audiobooks have been growing year over year, and it's been a great space to get into because it wasn't overcrowded yet. Because of the cost of human narration, audiobooks were prohibitive for some people or publishers who had lower budgets. And so it was an opportunity for those who did take the investment that they could kind of stand out and really grow their platform in audiobooks. And as we start to see and accept AI narrated audiobooks more, which are, anywhere from free to very inexpensive to create, I think we're going to see more saturation of the market. And I think that's kind of what we saw like in Kindle and Kindle Unlimited. When KDP used to be CreateSpace, when it was newer to the market, when Kindle was newer and it was growing, it was a lot easier to stand out. It was easier for new authors on the KDP or CreateSpace platform to sell books and make a platform and make a name for themselves because it wasn't as saturated. Now what we see is you can still do it. It's still possible, but it's much harder to stand out when you're getting started. And I think we might start to see that in the audiobook space. So all of that to say, if you've been wanting to get audiobooks out and you are specifically using human narrators, I will say that if that is something that you've been working towards, I would speed the process along, because I think the sooner you get out there and you start building your platform, the better as that saturation increase with AI options. But I'll keep you updated as I learn more. Again, this was just announced, gosh, on Tuesday. So it's very, very new, but we'll keep you updated as things happen there. The next question I got was from Cynthia, and Cynthia had some really great questions about direct sales. Number one, are direct sales worth it? And yeah, I mean, direct sales are absolutely trending in publishing and in marketing. In 2023, it's expected to be one of the hottest topics in 2024 for direct sales. This is where you're selling directly to consumer, and there are some benefits there. Number one, you're not paying a third party for their platform, or you're paying a lot less if you're paying like a fee to, Shopify or something like that. So if you're paying a lot less, then you are making more, you make more of a profit margin. The other benefit is that you are directly interfacing with the consumer, so you're able to get their name, their email address, their contact information, which means you can keep in touch with them for marketing in the future. I mean, can you imagine if you had the name and email address of every person who's bought your book on Amazon? That would give you a lot of power as far as continued sales, especially if you write in a genre and you have a series or you write multiple books. So direct sales are really beneficial in this way because you have that contact information. So you're building your platform, you're building your marketing opportunities while you're selling books. Now, there are some, I don't even want to call them drawbacks. I think there's challenges to selling direct. And for some people, it doesn't make sense because of the work, the time, or the money involved. So let's talk about that. When you're selling direct, one of the things that you need to think about is that you have to then have the platform to sell direct. So that typically means you need to have a website that, is active, that has good SEO, and you have to be driving traffic to your own website. One of the reasons why Amazon works so well is that you are benefiting from the traffic and the marketing that Amazon uses to drive traffic to their website. And then, you're trying to take a piece of the sales from the people they drive to their website. If you are selling direct, you have to be the person marketing, driving the traffic, maintaining the website, and doing SEO. So those are things that really need to be considered. If you're going to do print book fulfillment, you also need to consider, how are you going to do that? Are you going to personally take orders, and then are you going to have, copies of your book in your house and ship them? How much is shipping going to cost? Do you have the time? Can you actually take those orders in and fulfill them quickly enough to satisfy consumers? Can you do this cost efficiently in a way to where you're not losing that profit margin because you're paying more in shipping or different options like that? So these are things to consider. Now, you can absolutely integrate with POD options, which is print on demand. You can use Shopify. You can actually have a Shopify shop. You can have print and distribution. You can actually do offset print. So there are a lot of options for you if you really seriously want to do, if you want to take seriously and really go into direct sales. The things I would say about that is that these things all take quite a bit of investment. It will take some money, and it will take time and effort to get those things in place. So for print books especially, doable. There's a lot of value in it, but you also have to make sure that you have enough of an audience and you have the time and the funds to set that up, and that it's a smart risk, because when you invest in anything, it's a bit of a risk, right? So you want to make sure it's a smart risk, that you actually have the tools in place, you have the finances in place to make that a success. So those are things that I would be thinking about. Now, digital direct consumer is so much easier. And this is where most authors start and where I'd recommend most authors start. You can sell direct to consumer as long as your book, your ebook, is not exclusive on Amazon. So it's not on Kindle Unlimited. You can sell direct consumer because you own your ebook file. So you can put it up on, let's say, Draft to Digital. You can put it up on KDP, just not exclusive with Kindle Unlimited. You can put it up on Draft to Digital to get that ebook up on barnesandnoble.com and Kobo and Overdrive and all those places. And you can also sell direct from your website. You can even charge slightly less. You can do box set if they go directly to your website. So, you can say, yep, you can go buy a single ebook on Amazon for $4.99, or you can buy my 3-book box set ebook on my website for $5.99, or make it the same price, $4.99. You're essentially incentivizing people to buy from you directly. And it's very easy to do with BookFunnel. So with BookFunnel, you guys know I'm a big fan of BookFunnel, you can create a sales web page that connects to a payment. You can do it PayPal, PayHip. There's a couple of different things that it connects to. So you can actually hook it up so that they can pay directly through BookFunnel, very minimal fees. And then BookFunnel delivers those files to them. So it's an automatic, process. So again, you have to drive traffic to your website though. People, unless you've really built a name, people are not stumbling upon your website. So you would have to do things like running ads from social media to your website. You could be doing different incentives. You could put it in the back of your books. You could have a QR code, buy direct next time and get a deal, or different things. You can also sell to your newsletter list. So that is kind of a soft entry into direct sales that I think is very smart if your ebook is wide. And you can also do this with audiobooks. BookFunnel does have some options for direct delivery of audiobook files as well. I do believe they're limited on size though. They used to be. I'd have to see if that's still the case. But if you're kind of wanting to explore direct sales, especially if you already have a website and if your books are already wide and not exclusive to Amazon, this is a great opportunity. And the reason why it's coming up more and more, you guys, is because not only do people want to actually they want to get their customers so that when they market, they get more information that they can use again and again. But people are really considering this because Kindle Unlimited, which is a great program for building a reader platform. If you're in romance, it's just a game changer for some people for accessibility and finding your readership. But Kindle Unlimited page read prices have been all over the place. I was actually looking at them with a client of mine yesterday, and there, I believe, are 2, maybe 3 months this year where Kindle Unlimited prices were the lowest they had been, I want to say, in like 5 years. So they had actually been that low. Now, that's not to say, it's all about quantity. So would you have that number of readers if you weren't in this program? And you really have to look at your books and see where your readership is. But I think it's so interesting to look at and see the market value there and see, is it right for you? Have your books been in Kindle Unlimited historically? Maybe you want to start pulling some out, but not all. I do recommend that if you have a series or something like that, either have it all on Kindle Unlimited or have none of it in Kindle Unlimited. Readers do not like if you get to the 3rd book and suddenly it's not in Kindle Unlimited. They feel a little bit bait and switched on. So as far as direct sales, huge opportunities. I see why people are so interested. But again, digital, easier to start. That's a way to get your feet wet. If you're going into the print direct sales, more of an investment, more research needed, and you definitely need to build more of your platform. So keep that in mind if you decide to go for this or actually explore it more in the coming year. Let's see. Pat's question. I'm struggling with Amazon ads. I have a series of 3 picture books. Would it be better to just run sponsored brand ads? I know they can be expensive, or just run ads to the first book, and can the individual ads to books 2 and 3? Yeah, so as far as sponsored product ads versus sponsored brand ads, I think we talked about this a little bit a couple weeks ago, but a sponsored product ad goes to one book. A sponsored brand ad goes to your brand. And it's required that you have at least 3 titles to run a sponsored brand ad. So if you do have a series or you have multiple standalones in the same genre, then a sponsored brand ad may make sense for you. However, I want to put into perspective the cost involved. A sponsored product ad, you can get clicks and sales, and I see it depends on the genre, honestly, but to get a click for a sponsored product ad, so for one book, it can range anywhere from 2 cents a click to, let's say on median, 60 cents a click. So 60 cents a click or lower, and you can be getting clicks over to your sales pages. In relation, the sponsored brand ads that I've seen, that I've run, that I've just looked at, or talked to other people who run them, I will say that those sponsored brand ads, typically the cost per click on the very low side is around 75 cents, and on the high side, it's upwards towards the $2 mark. So they are spending much more, much more money. And I will say that unless you actually have a large brand where you can make profit off of multiple books, and there is a strong tie through. So if you have 20 books and they're clicking on this, and if they read book one, they're probably going to read all the books and you're going to make that profit. If you have a strong conversion, it sometimes makes sense. However, I will say that when you actually look at your ads, your ACOS and your actual, when you're just looking at the ads and going, I'm losing money. I very rarely, I won't say never because I've seen a couple, but very rarely have I seen sponsored brand ads, at least on data on paper, look like they're profitable. Most of them look like they're losing money. So I think that's one thing to consider is number one, do you even have the budget to play with this? And make no mistake, this is playing. If you've never run them before, you are testing, you are seeing what the market brings, but it is something where, great. Are you going to give yourself a $200 budget to try these ads out? And do you have $200 to lose? It's a little bit like gambling. My mom always taught me, don't bet something you can't lose. Don't bring it if you can't lose it. And that's kind of the idea, is that if you don't have the money to lose, sponsored brand ads are a bit more of a gamble and they will spend more. A sponsored product ad, you have more control, you can run lower budgets, and it's more of a long-term game. So I can't answer which one's best for you. The data may be worth it to you. You may have the budget, you may have the opportunity where you're in a place of saying like, yeah, I can spend that money. And if I lose it, I'm okay. And if that's the case, absolutely. I will say running these right around Christmas will be some of your most expensive, especially for a children's book or product. So just know that it's definitely going to be more expensive right here around Christmas time. If you don't have that budget, if you don't have that money, sponsored product ads are a way to really keep a smaller budget. Oh, I should also mention that a sponsored brand ad, to really perform, they need to be spending $10 to $20 per day minimum. Whereas a sponsored product ad, you can set it like a $3 to $5 a day. Now, I think KDP recommends $10 a day at least, which is fine. You can do that too, but 3 to 5 will get you going. So I think it just really depends. So it comes back to your goals, your budget. Also, I encourage you, yes, look at the data in your Amazon ad account. Look at the data in the ACOS, which is the actual cost of sale. Look at the return on investment. But also, it's really important if you're running Amazon ads, look at your overall sales and royalties. Do they go up when you run ads? Because there is something to Amazon ad dashboard gives us data and it tracks some stuff and it's fantastic, but it doesn't track everything. And so look at your overall sales and your overall royalties. Do they go up when you are running ads? Are you making more in royalties than you're spending in ad spend? That's kind of the things that you have to look at in addition to what's in the ad dashboard, and then make decisions based off of that. And yeah, I really do think that it's one of those things that you have to look at. It's very hard to say. I do actually do ad consulting where I'll get on a Zoom with people and look at their ad account with them and see, see what the data tells us and if I have suggestions for optimization and improvement. But without actually seeing the ads, I think that's the best advice I can get. So hopefully that helps you out, Pat. Let's see. I informed my publisher that I got a handful of harsh reviews on Goodreads and NetGalley for my upcoming book based on the ARC having difficulty downloading or the fact that it was 20 pages out of this 176. People complain the book is short, not realizing it's an excerpt. Is this a common problem? I think this is a publisher problem. No, an ARC is typically a full book. It's not a sample. So I would definitely make sure they didn't send the wrong link or file because most of the time an advanced reader copy, regardless of the publisher, is a full copy, not just a sample. As far as difficulty of downloading, that would depend on the platform. So if they're using something like NetGalley, then that's really kind of something that should be taken up with NetGalley, as that's their platform. If it's something like they're using BookFunnel, it may mean that in addition to sending it from BookFunnel, there needs to be some follow-up from the publisher or from the author. So I would definitely look into that. It's one of those things that's so unfortunate because once you get those poor reviews, it's very hard it's not like you can necessarily contact those people. Now, I will say that if you have, because they're ARC readers, if you have email address, or I would say not the author, the publisher should do this, not the author. It will not look as good if the author does it. But if you have those email addresses from the ARC readers and you're seeing these reviews come up, I would say a follow-up email from the publisher saying, our apologies. We realize that you were sent a sample of the book rather than the full book. This was our mistake. The publisher has to own this here. Even if they don't feel like it was a mistake, it's going to look a lot better on everybody if they say, our mistake, our apologies. Please accept this download of the full, whatever the title is. I think that's the only way that you can kind of come back from it at that point. And it will take working in tandem with your publisher. I have to say the only time I've ever seen a publisher offer just a sample chapter or something like that, a sample part of a book, has been when it was clearly stated and it was for like growing an email list or something, or if it's in the case of reaching out to someone like for endorsement and saying, I would love an endorsement from you. My book is here in full. It's 176 pages. However, I think you could best speak to this portion and pulling it out for the convenience of the endorser. I've never seen ARC readers getting a partial sample of a book. I think that's crazy. And yeah, are there some things that for a visual book, does that create some more difficulties? Absolutely. In that case, they may need to invest in printed ARCs more. A smaller ARC pool, but doing printed ARCs, or it needs to be very clearly labeled if it's on NetGalley or something like that. That is a sample piece. Because I have to say that, having someone put it out early if it's visual or stealing things if it's visual, I understand. But just as bad is not selling because you got these bad reviews about the book, or people then not buying it because they think they're not getting what they thought they were. So that's a tricky one, but I would try to work with the publisher on that one to address it to all the ARC readers that they should have contact information for. Let's see, Richard. MailChimp lists 895 contacts and only 729 subscribers to my newsletter. What does this mean? That is an excellent question. So what it means when you see in MailChimp, MailerLite, Constant Contact, any of those, typically you will have contact numbers. So let's say in this case, 195 contacts, but then only 729 subscribers. what's going on. That means that originally you added 895 people to your newsletter, but then as they cleaned them, so they found that these were bad email addresses and they cleaned them and took them off your mailing list, or people unsubscribed, you are now down to 729. So 729 is the number of readers or subscribers that you can actually email. The other ones are no longer viable. In MailChimp, the way we handle that is we actually go to the unsubscribed, the people who have unsubscribed. The way we handle that is we separate that segment of your audience out and we archive them. And that way they no longer are on your contact list. They still show up there, like they're still there. The numbers are still there. But what happens is that when you archive these contacts, you're no longer paying for them if you have a paid subscription. So you would only be paying for the 729, not the 895. So it kind of sits there. Also, that means that you can't accidentally resubscribe someone. That's why they don't just get deleted. So you can't resubscribe someone who's already unsubscribed because that's against email laws. And so there's nothing that you really need to do, just making sure that going in and archiving those from time to time so you're not paying for them if you're on a paid plan. But very normal. And I will say, I get questions all the time like, oh, I sent a newsletter and someone unsubscribed. What did I do? Am I doing it wrong? Am I sending too many emails? No, people will sign up for a newsletter for many reasons, especially if you're offering an incentive like a free book. And then maybe they just don't want to be in contact. And so they unsubscribe. You're not doing anything wrong. It's very normal. I will say almost every time I send an email, I'll have anywhere from 2 to 10 unsubscribers. Now, my list is very large. My list is up, in the 10,000 mark. But even my smaller list, there's going to have some people who unsubscribe, who maybe someone else has that email address now or whatever it may be. So it's not that you're necessarily doing anything wrong. It's just part of the process is people sign up, people unsubscribe. Now, if you consistently get huge numbers of unsubscribes, then I would say you need to look at what you're sending out. But I know for a fact, Richard, that's not the case with your email list. So I wouldn't worry about that. All right. Oh, I love this question, Larry. I review thrillers for the Washington Independent Review of Books. Some are very mediocre, in my humble opinion, but have something like 10,000 positive reviews. Am I too picky or should I mistrust the Amazon review process? Here's the thing about reviews. Well, a couple of thoughts on reviews. Number one, many people, when doing reviews or starring a review, you have two types of people. You have people who are just going to judge it and they're going to judge it hard. And if it was a 1, they're going to give it a 1. And if it was a 5, they're going to give it a 5. Or you have those people who refuse to give it a 5 unless literally Jesus wrote it. They're just not going to give it a 5. They're like, it was amazing. It was so good. Totally 4 stars. And then they're going to give a 1 star. If it deserves it, they're giving that 1 star. And then there are a lot of people who go, it wasn't my favorite, but I don't want to tank their reviews. I don't want to be mean. Like we're actually talking to the author. And so they will often then leave a review in the 3 or even 4-star range to say, I finished it. It was okay, but I didn't love it. So we often will see that sometimes in books where we're like, this is not that good. And yet they don't have a bunch of 1-star reviews because typically people are just a little bit more cautious or they feel like, again, they're going to hurt someone's feelings. So I would not say that we don't trust the Amazon review process. I think that we have to consider why people might not leave negative reviews. Now, I will say that I am that person, whether it be a book or any other product. What I do when I go look at the reviews, yes, I look at the number. And the reason why I look at the number, so if they've got 10,000 positive reviews, that means a lot of people have had access to, downloaded, and probably read that book. So that speaks to the popularity of a book. Now, I will say there have been some very, very popular books that aren't really that good. Now, they may hit a trope. They may be popular because of something going on in the world. People may identify it, but it can be a book that's not that good. Um, or a book, a book that's just questionable. We're like, this is not a literary masterpiece. Did it keep me occupied for 2 hours? Sure. But if the masses enjoy it, if it's popular and it's being read a lot, well, then they're going to end up with a lot of reviews. So the number speaks more in my mind to the overall popularity and access to the book and how many people have downloaded or read it versus the quality of the book. And then when looking at reviews, I think one of the things we look at with reviews is that, me personally, I go to any review section and I do a couple of things. Well, first, if it's not a book, I go directly to the people who have pictures because I want to see what that product actually looks like in person. But for books, I go to the reviews. I look for the most recent review. I want to know what currently people are saying because it's just good to know. Did something change recently? Also, if it's an author or a book, all of their fans, their ARC readers probably left reviews when the book was first published, not necessarily later on. So I look at the most recent reviews. The other thing I do is I go straight to the 1 stars. I want to know why people didn't like this book. So they may say, I hated this book. It was simply ridiculous that there was I don't know, a 35-year-old woman riding a unicorn. And I'm going to be like, I like unicorns. I've got nothing against 35-year-olds. I'm all in, no problem. Or it may say 1 star, couldn't get through it. Grammar was terrible. And this obviously needed a proofread. That's probably going to, stop me a little bit. I have to say, for me personally, I have a very hard time reading books with a lot of proof errors because of what I do professionally. It's very, very difficult for me to, like, if I read a book and I see proof errors, I'm not kidding you guys. I mean, I'm not even ashamed, maybe a little bit. But the last book I read for fun, and I have found an author recently that have just been fun little reads. I'm reading on my Kindle, and as I'm finding proof errors, I'm highlighting them. Yeah, I highlighted it. And then you know what I did? Because I am that person, I highlighted it all together and then I created a report because I actually liked this author. I was like, hey, just read your most recent book. I adored it. It was so fun. Um, and then we chatted a little bit. And then I said, by the way, I did catch a couple proofing errors. Would you like me to send it? I mean, I'm not trying to stick my nose in your business, but if you want it, I have it because I happen to pull it. This person in this case was like, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. Please send it over. Not, not everyone responds that way, in which case, again, I only do that if I really like the author and doing it. But regardless, I will sit there and on my Kindle, the point was, I will highlight proof errors. So if someone in a review says, man, there are a ton of proof errors, this is a problem, that's going to turn me off. So I think that's something that is, I think that's something that you really have to consider. And so looking at the most recent, the top reviews and the lowest reviews. So do we trust the Amazon review process to a point, but knowing that reviews are subjective and also they're largely driven by popular opinion. So you, as a discerning professional who reads books for a living and who has seen some really great craft in different things like that, that is one of those things that I think maybe you are. I think you are a little bit more picky, and that's not a bad thing. I think that's a gift and a curse of your profession, just as me being unable to pass by proofing errors in a book is a gift and a curse of my profession. But yeah, I think largely it speaks to 10,000 positive reviews or 10,000 reviews, period, speaks to how many people have downloaded. As Terry pointed out, we estimate that approximately 10% of readers will actually leave a rating or a review, just 10%. So if they've got 10,000 positive reviews, that's a lot of sales. And a lot of people, we've been taught from a very young age, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. Some people still abide by it even. So you will also often see if people really don't like a book, many people won't say anything. So There's that as well. See. Absolutely. I missed a little something. Yeah, and Etta nailed it here. There are reviewers who don't have the knowledge in the area of your work to accurately give an honest and objective review. So they say things about your book that make no sense. Or you also, again, having different perspective will may be a harsher critic. And that is why professional reviews and trade endorsements hold more weight, because they're not there just to be nice. They're there as a service to the reader in many ways, even though they can uplift the author in the book. That's not necessarily their purpose. Let's see. I am stuck with endorsements for my book. My dream world, I would like to get a celebrity to do one. Is there a website where I can get sponsored endorsements? Um, no. Well, this is a mixed bag. So, are there ways to contact celebrities? Yes, there absolutely are. Now, some of them sell endorsements. Like literally, they're like, sure, I will take a look at your product as long as it's not terrible. I'll endorse it for $10,000. So some celebrities do that where they will actually sell their endorsements. Some of them will only look at, like certain thing, like certain products or different things like that. Now, I will say that's not typically what I recommend. I think that is something, well, number one, $10,000 is a lot of money. And that's an actual figure from an author who does essentially sell their endorsements. Um, so I would personally go about just trying to reach and pitch celebrities and things like that, but you have to make connections. Sometimes that means pitching through their agents. Sometimes that means, tagging them on Twitter and different things. And I will be honest, it's a long shot. It's not a guarantee. Now we pitch these because it's like if you never play the game, you can't win, but it is a long shot. So I want to put that out there right away. But I have seen in my own personal experience following that person, kind of supporting them, tagging them on places like Twitter or whatever social media they're most commonly on, can work, going through their agents. And there is this website, I have no affiliation to them, but there is this website called contactanycelebrity.com. And it's essentially like a, a phone book. It's essentially like a directory of different celebrities and like their contact information. Now, this is not their home email and address. Please don't mistake it for that. Many times it's their agent or, other things like that. However, it is something, it's a paid subscription. So you do have to do a subscription to it, but it can be a good start for starting to reach some of those celebrities if that's your goal. But really, I think it's important. And this is why when working on endorsements, I typically recommend that authors do 3 tiers. The pie in the sky celebrity, oh my gosh, if they gave me the time of day, I might pass out. Then you go to the authors or the names that you're like, okay, these people I respect, they have a solid platform, and they may say no, but I can probably actually find their email and reach them. And then the third tier is the people that you either know or have a connection to personally. And so those are very easy to connect to. And they still may say no, but they're a lot more likely to say yes. So I think that's important. Yeah, absolutely. And Bob saying he just wrote about 2 dozen last night. The best way is to just research connection in some way. See, is there a connection? Is there 6 degrees of separation? And Bob saying his success rate has been like 1 out of 10. And I will also point out Bob's a superstar, but we all have a chance. So I think that's important. And yes, mention details to their work and flatter them sincerely. So, like, why would they want to support you? Why would they have an interest in this? Do you actually follow them? If you're like, I just want to get an endorsement from Taylor Swift because she was just named, like person of the year and she's got a huge platform and I know I'd blow up if she mentioned me. So I don't know any of her songs. I don't know her, like nothing, not going to work. Now, even then it may not work, but I could reach out to Taylor Swift and say, hey, I had your first demo CD. I went to your concert when you were an opener before you were even like actually on, and I've been a big fan ever since. I love this, this, and this, and I think this is why you might like whatever product or book this is. Would you be open to taking a look? That's a completely different pitch. So I think coming from a sincere place of how you have followed them or how you connect to them and why you think they'll connect to the product or the book is very important. And Taylor, if you're watching, true story. I was a fan before anyone else. Let's see. No, no problem. Oh, so you guys know, IngramSpark is doing a giveaway. Again, no affiliation with this. I just saw it and I thought it was cool. IngramSpark is doing a giveaway. If you go to ingramspark.com/holiday giveaway, they are doing a giveaway for a 50 winners will get a tote bag, but it's filled with 10 free author copies of your book. So if you in any way have a book up listed on IngramSpark, your print books, your hardcover, whatever it may be, if you've got books on there, this can be a giveaway. It costs nothing to enter, and you could be one of those 50 to win 10 free copies, which, not many people would say no to. So I wanted to put that out there. A really interesting thing happening with Amazon and Instagram. Well, Amazon, Facebook, Instagram, because it's owned by Meta, right? So Facebook and Amazon are now working together. There is now an option where you can connect your Instagram account with your Amazon account so that you can one-stop shop and click on a button on a ad. So an Instagram ad, you can click on it and it will take you directly to a spot where you can click again and buy with your Amazon account, because your Amazon account and your Instagram account are linked. Now, why are they doing this? Why are they making it so convenient for all of us? Well, number one, there is, of course, the matter that it makes sales easier. So what's happening is that Instagram is agreeing to give Amazon access to their user data and information so that Amazon can make more sales. On the other side, Instagram is getting from Amazon data about what people actually buy so they can hone in on their advertising, which they make a lot of money on. So it is symbiotic in their senses that Instagram, Facebook is getting something out of it and Amazon is getting something out of it. Now, this will in many ways give the marketer more information and more data, which is a positive if you're marketing. It will give authors more information about what's actually working, and it will also mean that there's less clicks to a sale. And we've talked about that before, that the more clicks that we have, the harder it is to make a sale. If we put up an ad where someone has to go to our website and then they have to find the book and then they have to click on the Amazon link to go to Amazon, every click reduces our chance of conversion. So the idea is, if you're marketing book on Instagram, someone clicks on it, it takes them directly to the Amazon sales page and they can click. They never have to leave the Instagram app. So it's a convenience factor. Now, where I think they may have some difficulty getting people on board is people are not dumb. Some people will be like, oh, convenience, take it all. Some people will be like, I don't really want my social media connected to my Amazon account. I don't necessarily want that connected. So I think we will see in some ways a slower connection for that, where people are willing to hook up their Amazon account, because if they are thinking at all, they realize that that's absolutely number one, data collection, but also then if their social media gets hacked, it puts their Amazon account and their credit card in more jeopardy. So I think those are things that we will see for sure as far as converting people over. But I do think it's interesting. There will absolutely be people who will go with the convenience, and I think it will change some of the advertising opportunities on Facebook and Instagram and all of that. I know we all kind of already joke about, the phone is listening, they're going to show us those ads and things like that. But yeah, now it's not. Now it's not completely data access between the two, and it would be, like, of course they're gathering data. It's just a whole new level of giving over your data. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how that takes off. They announced the launch of that, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it'll be another couple of months, I think, until we see if people are actually converting it over. I will say I've been on Instagram. I think I was on Instagram this morning and I didn't see like a pop-up invitation. So I'm not sure how aggressively they will be inviting people to connect those and when that will roll out. We'll keep an eye on it and see how it works out and see certainly how it affects our opportunities to market books. Like I said, I'm a little bit I think because I know how much data sharing works and how much they pool, I may be a little bit more conscious of that than some people as far as giving my data away, although I use it. So it's one of those catch 22s for sure, right? Let me see. We've got one or two more questions. Box set questions. Are box sets worth it? And how do I do a box set? So yes, box sets can be a great way to repackage your book, give them new life and branding. The thing with box sets is a digital box set you can do and put it together as an ebook box set. So you essentially just have 3 ebooks in one file, and you can do an Amazon listing. You can put it on draft to digital, whatever you want to do. And usually the way that would work is, okay, you can buy each book individually for $5, or you can buy the 3-book box set for $10. And that's how it works. Now, the question specifically asked about box sets is if you do that, which you can you sell it if your individual books are in Kindle Unlimited, can you sell a box set outside of Kindle Unlimited? And the answer is no. Any content that is exclusive with a Kindle Unlimited or Kindle Select contract has to remain exclusive, even if you repackage it. So you cannot have individual books in Kindle Unlimited and then have a box set that you sell elsewhere. That's actually against the terms of service of your Kindle Unlimited agreement. And you also cannot do it the other way. You cannot have your single books at wide and then do a box set in Kindle Unlimited. That does not work, I'm afraid. Now, you can still do it. You can have a box set that's in Kindle Unlimited just to kind of keep the reader reading so they don't have to come back and find you. And then for people who do have outright sales, they can buy it that way on Amazon. Or you can just be wide and not have something in Kindle Unlimited. But you can't have both. You can't trick the system that way. As far as print, print box sets are a little bit more tricky because as far as I know, there's no current print on demand option that offers box set. So if you were going to do a printed box set, you would have to either do it direct where you're selling it from your website, having special printing done for a box set. You would of course have to then get the actual box designed, and then you would have your individual books inside. Many times those will be a special edition. But then you would have to do a special printing for that, which typically you're going to do a printing of a larger quantity, anywhere from, let's say, 500 to 2,000. And then you're either selling them direct from your website, or you're doing something like a Kickstarter and raising the money and doing it that way. But a box set is one of those things you can't do print on demand. So you have to be willing to be more hands-on, do a Shopify store, sell direct. Again, do a Kickstarter, so you're still fulfilling, but you kind of know you have those orders in advance or something like that. You can sell them on Amazon as a third-party seller, not through print on demand, but as a third-party seller, which, we know there's lots of those on there, and there are fees to use the third-party seller platform. But I know authors who do that. So that's an option. But digital, once again, is just a little bit easier. So possibility, if you have a popular series doing special editions. You guys, I'm in this Kickstarter group on Facebook, and I adore these books because if you ever thought about doing special editions, fancy books, these people are your people because they will do special editions with like sprayed edges. So they're like gold or silver. They will have box sets. They will have special editions that have way more art in them and illustrations. So I think that has promise, but most of them, again, are doing it through Kickstarter. So they're earning the money in advance. So bigger project if you're going to do a printed box set. Yeah, so Richard is saying he recently received an email from Early Bird Books, and it looks like it's a discount ebook promotion site. And that's what it sounds like. So there are a bunch of discount promotion sites. You've got places like Bargain Booksy, Free Booksy for free books. You have Fussy Librarian, Red Feather for romance. There's Just Kindle Books. There is Book Gorilla, Book Doggy. And most of them are legitimate. Like most of them, they will charge different fees. Some of them are as low as like $10 and some are as much as $100 or more. The things that I always look for is number one, do I recognize the name or can I go to their website and does it look legit? And do they offer how many people they can reach for the fee they're charging you? It's never a guarantee of sales. So you definitely, you may try it and say, I didn't get that many downloads, but I did when I used Bargain Booksy, but I didn't when I used this company. So you may have to try them out a little bit. I've not specifically heard of this company, but I have no reason to believe that they are not legitimate. I will, for anyone on this call, I will drop in the chat here just a link on the New Shelves website for anyone who's not on the call live. If you go to newshelves.com and you go to the resources tab on the left, there is a page called People We Like. And on the People We Like page at the very bottom is a drop down for discount book promotion sites. And I have links to my favorite book promotion sites. So we've got Book Cave, Good Kindles, The Fussy Librarian, Lit Nuts, Robin Reads. Those are some of the ones that I have personally used and like. And so you can get all of those just at that link. And try them out if you're doing a discount ebook promotion or a free promotion to kind of amp up your marketing. All right, you guys, I think we answered all of our questions this week and we're right at 11 o'clock. So thank you for being with me today. Thank you for joining in. I always appreciate you guys so much. We will be back next Friday, same time, same place, 10 a.m. Eastern, and I will see you then. Bye, everybody.